BHAVANTU LOKAH SAMASTAHA SUKHINO BHAVANTु 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 LOKAH SAMASTAHA SUKHINO BHAVANTU LOKAH SAMASTAHA SUKHINO BHAVANTु LOKAH SAMASTAHA SUKHINO BHAVANTु LOKAH SAMASTAHA.
Good evening and good morning. Let us begin the Sunlit Path Study Circle. So starting with this beautiful prayer of aspiration, this wish, this chant, LOKAH SAMASTAHA SUKHINO BHAVANTU. Not just about me, not just about my family, not just about my city, my country, my continent, not just about my earth. May every being, wherever possible, in any loka, in any realm, may they be happy, may they be at peace. Because here the sukh is not pleasure, it's not the sukh of duality, it's the joy of contentment, of fulfillment, which does not belong on outer circumstances, but the joy of being, of such Chit Ananda, that is my life energy, that is which is making or giving me life. So wishing that, aspiring for that, for everyone in all the realms, invoking Mother and Sri Aurobindo's grace and presence as we begin our journey towards yet another beautiful, forceful, truthful, absolute passage from the Sunlit Path, which has words from the Mother, which the Mother herself has told us are not mere words, but forces in action intended for a specific purpose. May I be able to receive that purpose, that aim, that intention behind what is being said, so that I can course correct, I can travel fine and light and towards the true aim. Thank you. Give me 1 second, I'll pull it up. So we are on the section concentration, meditation and work. And the passage that we have to take today, the title is, I think, meditate under all circumstances. Meditate under all circumstances. I hope the size is big enough, and if anybody has the capacity, if they would like to read the complete passage for us. Thank you.
Yeah, that I'll read. Oh, sorry. One you will read? Yeah.
No, better if you do because my connection is unstable.
Meditate under all circumstances. You may be engaged in the most active action, for example, in playing basketball, which needs a great deal of movement, and yet not lose the attitude of inner meditation and concentration upon the divine. And when you get that, you will see that all you do changes its quality. Not only will you do it better, but you will do it with an altogether unexpected strength. And at the same time, keep your consciousness so high and so pure that nothing will be able to touch you any longer. And note that this can go so far that even if an accident occurs, it will not hurt you. Naturally, this is a peak, but it is a peak to which one can aspire. Do not fall into the very common error of believing that you must sit in an absolutely quiet corner where nobody passes by, where you are in a classical position and altogether immobile in order to be able to meditate. It is not true. What is needed is succeed in meditation under all circumstances, and I calling meditation not emptying your head, but concentrating yourself in a contemplation of the divine. And if you keep this contemplation within you, all that you do will change its quality, not its appearance, for apparently it will be the same thing, but its quality. And life will change its quality, and you will feel a little different from what you were, with a peace, a certitude, an inner calm, an unchanging force, something which never gives way. Thank you, Dharma.
Thank you, Charuji. It's so interesting and funny that, here Mother is giving us hints, she's giving us pointers. She's saying that, yes, this will change you a little. This will help you. In the passage we took week before last, in which Mother had given us a way to meditate. In that too, she said that when you do it, your being becomes different. And it's so funny that I'm not happy. Most of us are not very happy with where we are. We feel we can do more, be more, get more, give more. And yet, we don't want to change ourselves. We want to be who we are. And yet, we want everything around us or some things around us to change a little. We feel if this changes, then it will be better. If that changes, then it will be better. And here, when we are getting the pointers that do this, and you'll be better, you'll be different, a new being, within you is born, we say, oh yeah, it sounds very beautiful, yes, but sitting down, yeah, I'll start it from tomorrow. So the you know how I guess Sri Aurobindo, he has said na, that one of the greatest paradox of, I don't know, humanity or human being is that everybody longs after freedom, and yet we are all in love with our chains, right? Something like this. I am paraphrasing, that we all yearn for freedom, and yet this is a paradox that we are in love with the chains which tie us down. And those chains are mostly self-created, self-selected, and we are holding on to them ourselves. So if we have done that enough, maybe we can make use of the pointers that the kind, extremely kind, compassionate masters and mystics have left for us after, I don't know, crossing the oceans of fires. Yeah. And it goes without saying, at any point for any comment, any reflection, please unmute and feel free to share. Okay. So meditate under all circumstances. So your circumstances for us are mostly exterior things, right? I can never forget that the first topic of the Circle of Harmony was I am more than my circumstances. And just to share a small story, I must have shared it before, that I didn't know what to do, what to start. And then this thought of Circle of Harmony, the name, it just came to me, sprung up. And yet I wasn't sure how to start, like what topic to begin with. And I had a dream from the mother. And in that dream, she was just smiling, and I could see from my body, you know, how like a snake gives off its skin. So something was coming out of my body, like a layer is coming out of my body, and there was this line which kept repeating itself hundreds of times, coming out of me. I am more than my circumstances. I am more than my circumstances. So, and that was then I decided that, oh, you know, and she said it 100 times, like it kept coming out, maybe making sure that I don't forget when I wake up, because we see a lot, we meet a lot, we be to a lot of places, but when we wake up, because of the inconscient, or I don't know, the Jar Tattva of the body, we forget. So that was the first title of the Circle of Harmony. So this circumstances, you know, this thing we just keep, this is like, I feel a ceiling we keep hitting, because we feel, okay, these are my circumstances, but see, I have broken them and now I have stepped forward. Now it doesn't affect me. And again, I find myself in another trap and I say, okay, I'm out of it, you know, after struggles and some pain, some suffering, and I go forward. And again, I find myself in limits, in walls. So I think one has to realize that anything and everything, I don't know, does not truly have the power to affect me, to make me suffer or move. And if I'm suffering, like Mother says, if you are in despair, if you're sad, know that you're being insincere and the surrender is not complete. So we do know that. And now that we know that, maybe, hopefully, with grace, we might change. Yeah. So I find the word circumstances very interesting. So Mother says, you may be engaged in the most active action, for example, in playing basketball, which needs a great deal of movement, and yet not lose the attitude of inner meditation and concentration upon the divine. You know, for us, this is being saying a lot, because we Yesterday in the meditation session, we had read a small passage, a small question answer thing from the mother and a sadhak, and in which mother says that the issue is not that you don't aspire, you don't concentrate, you don't meditate. The issue is that your efforts are very intermittent. It's there 1 second and then it's gone for hours, maybe for days. And then again, when I suffer again, that yearning comes and then it disappears. So if it's intermittent, that means I don't really want it. It's like, okay, if I get it, good, okay, maybe I can get it, but the desire, the longing does not have much fire. Like in that poem, The Dream Boat, when Sri Aurobindo, where the god, the sun god asks, this, I don't know, the sun god or the golden god asks that is the heart's fire ready? So is my heart's fire ready is the question I need to ask. Sorry, I'm digressing a lot. I can't focus here. So yes, so you may be engaged in the most active action, for example, in playing basketball. That could be anything, our daily, everyday things, which need a great deal of movement, and mostly everything we do deals with a lot of movement. And yet, Mother says that do not lose the attitude of inner meditation and concentration upon the divine. So I am engaged with everything, with everyone, and yet my being, my center is connected to the source. I can see very beautifully I am dancing in the Maya, and yet the inner me, the inner being in me knows consciously that this is all Leela. So when the Maya is there and yet the knowledge of Leela is fully active, then it becomes, that joyous play. So for that, we need not to lose that attitude of inner meditation and concentration upon the divine. And Mother says, when you get that, you will see that all you do changes its quality. Not only will you do it better, but you will do it with an altogether unexpected strength. And at the same time, keep your consciousness so high and so pure that nothing will be able to touch you any longer. So when we are able to develop this attitude of connecting with the divine. This Mother is talking about a continuous connection, but even if I talk about those intermittent connections, still one very, very clearly sees, if one is conscious, that things change. I have to do a task, even if I have to, I don't know, say clean the dishes. If I'm doing it with an attitude that why me? I have to do it. Why does anybody not help, for example? Or if I'm doing it with an attitude that, I'm so grateful that I have the physical ability, the physical strength to be able to do it. So if I take it as a grace or if I take it as a chore, a punishment, the quality of which I do it, my being and how they are done, it greatly changes. So when we have this inner attitude, and that is the importance of meditation, which is the connection with the divine, we see that all that we do changes its quality. Not only will you do it better, but you will do it with an altogether unexpected strength. I don't know, we had discussed this before where I had read and who had said it, but it is said that right now, if I'm doing, say, one thing, right, or 100 things, if I have that focus, if I develop that focus, that concentration where I'm not distorted or dispersed, my capacity is to take over 1,000 more things in my day. And it's not a hyperbole. It is a fact that we are given that, we do so many things and we feel so overwhelmed. And yet, because we are not doing it from a position of strength, from a position of focus, with the focus, we do much less than what our capacity is, much, much, much less. 1,000 times is a very big number. And yet we all feel our days are full. So altogether, unexpected strength, and at the same time, keep your consciousness so high and so pure that nothing will able to touch you, nothing will be able to touch you any longer. So I think this mostly would come with grace, but even for that to come, I have to will, I have to aspire, I want to want it, that may my consciousness be so high, so pure, that nothing will be able to touch it any longer. And note that this can go so far, and note that this can go so far that even if an accident occurs, it will not hurt you. Naturally, this is a peak, but it is a peak to which one can aspire. A lot of us are scared of mishappenings, scared of accidents. So many fears we are harboring. And yet, if we were to work on ourselves and will and aspire for that high consciousness, even if an accident occurs, it would not hurt us. This is the assurance, a fact given by the mother herself. And naturally, this is a peak. Yes, Vishal.
Yeah, mother is talking about the quality here. It is also, uh, there's a joy when you're in touch with that. And I was reminded of, there are some lines in that Secret Knowledge, very beautiful line. He says, Shivam said, nothing could satisfy but its delight. Its absence left the greatest actions dull. Its presence made the smallest seem divine. And you can sense this. We all can sense this. When we feel connected to the mother, the most dull action, dull as in from an exterior perspective, you could be washing dishes, you could be doing whatever, right? You could be cleaning the toilet, is going to be a divine experience, right? And when that connection is lost, and we know it, right? You could be doing whatever, you could be doing the greatest work from an external perspective, right? Maybe you're working on a big project or whatever, right? And it would be absolutely inane dull to you. There would be no joy. That rasa would be gone. The rasa comes from her. So when one is in contact with her, and as you said, Taru, that, yeah, we lose it. So you have to, I think that's what mother is also emphasizing. Get it here, get it to back to this point. And she's saying active. As often as you can, just, remember and offer. That is the mantra that she has given us, or Sri Aurobindo has given us. So the more we do it, then the more that joy kind of permeates the day. And there may be a time when it's gone and you lose it, but the memory is strong enough that you pull it back, right? When the dullness comes, maybe some contact or just some, you just remember and then it comes back. So it's so beautiful that the smallest task can become divine if she is there with you. And you should always remember this. It is her presence that makes, what we call ananda, right? Shouldn't say the whole purpose of creation is delight. Then, it's joy in every activity that we do in her.
Yes, thank you. Again, the point to stress here is that, and to aspire and praise that may these words not just be mere words for us, may we get the will, the courage, the grace to make this our lives. So it sounds beautiful, right? The rasa, the ananda, the such chit ananda. And yet, if it escapes me, if I'm doing nothing to be there, then there's no point in the readings, in the sessions, in the reflections, in the contemplations. I mean, there would be a point because, how he says, by your stumblings, the world is perfected and the Lord uses everything. And yet, we can make it more dynamic, more active by consciously wanting it and aligning with it. So taking it forward, Mother says, do not fall into the very common error of believing that you must sit in an absolutely quiet corner where nobody passes by, where you are in a classical position and altogether immobile in order to be able to meditate. It is not true. So we are told to do this, right? This is how we usually begin. Because otherwise there's so much distraction that, and the mind who's already used to being so distracted, it's much harder, much, much, much harder to concentrate in that scene, in that circumstances. And yet Mother says it is a common error to believe that to meditate, I need an absolutely quiet corner where there's no movement. I'm sitting in that classic position. So again, those are part of our images, right? The images that we carry, and we were discussing how we always, it's surprising when we realize that we don't even realize how we are sticking to images. So again, a lot of blinding happens to us, but thankfully with grace, the veils do keep dropping. So she says that's an error to believe that this is the way one should meditate. What is needed is to succeed in meditating under all circumstances. And I call meditating not emptying your head, but concentrating yourself in a contemplation of the divine. And if you keep this contemplation within you, all that you do will change its quality. So it's not emptying my head, but concentrating in a contemplation of the divine. And if you keep this contemplation within you, all that you do will change its quality, not its appearance, for apparently it will be the same thing, but its quality. You know that quote, a very famous Buddhist quote, that before enlightenment, I chop wood and I don't know, I drink tea or coffee, whatever it was. And after enlightenment, I chop wood and I eat a sandwich. We can make it anything, whatever we fancy. We look at Kabir, how, say, maybe I would have some images of what would happen and what would an enlightened being do or not do. Because we usually have images of, again, people sitting in that posture and just light all around them. And yet, say, a Kabir who has, I don't know how many years, and he's still so active and rather increasing in popularity, and people are connecting, more and more people are connecting with him. So many Kabir yatras and events are happening, especially in India and internationally. And he was a weaver and he continued to weave till the end. He didn't say, oh, now I don't need to weave, I don't need to earn my living. He continued with that. But the quality, how Vishal had very beautifully said, any work that you would be doing, suddenly there is a rasa, a joy in it. And again, this is something we'll have to realize for ourselves, because otherwise it feels that, yeah, it's sounding good, but how it doesn't make any sense. And yes, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And yet it happens. And all the miracles of my life have never made sense. And yet I know they have happened. So we have to move beyond the sense mind to experience this. And yet I have to make changes in my life, make effort, sacrifice a lot of things that we think are worthy that we are doing, and do this. Yes, Ritu.
I unmuted by mistake.
Okay.
But there was one thing which was coming to my mind.
Yeah, you got muted.
On my phone. Am I muted now?
No, now you're fine.
Okay. So, मतलब जैसे the general concept we have about meditation is to be sitting in a silent place with no disturbance, with no chores on our mind. So that actually, because recently, like when I had gone this Vipassana course, in that there was a lady who was sitting right next to me, and she was wearing a lot of gold bangles. So every time she would move her hand, khan, it would, like, I was trying to just meditate, and it would just make me think about those bangles. So so a quiet place sometimes helps, but I'm wondering whether it's true for everybody, because I was the only one who was getting bothered with the bangles. Nobody else around me seemed to be getting bothered with that sound, which every time she would move her hand would come.
Did you share this with anybody that you got bothered with the bangles?
No, in
Then
fact, on
how
the
do you
first
know
day,
that anybody else also was not
Mhm.
getting bothered? Because nobody shares these things, right? And yet we are mostly in that consciousness that it does bother us. That is the truth. The mind is looking for distractions, and the harder you try, the more it wants to go out. And these things do distract us. It's a fact. Till they don't, you reach a point where they don't, but they do.
But
If
it
they
seemed
wouldn't
that,
do, that would be more odd in the beginning, especially. Sorry, what were
Mhm.
you saying?
But it seemed that the other people were not bothered at all. I mean, so it seemed to me that I was the only
Yeah, see that
one who was
you're
able to
saying it
concentrate.
absolutely right. You're using the word seemed, right? Seemed is not a fact. Seemed is not a truth. Seemed is a perception. And just like
Mhm.
you would not share with anybody, oh, this is disturbing me, or don't do that. And as it is, you were in a 10-day silence course. So even if you wanted to fight or scold that woman for wearing bangles, you couldn't. And similar
Yeah,
for
but
everyone. But the everyone is not my issue, right?
Mhm.
My focus is
Mhm.
just on me, that see how that disturbed me, and see how I will reach that position where nothing, what are
Mhm.
bangles? Nothing will disturb me.
Yeah. Hmm. But
I would
at
like
the
to
end
add
of the,
something here.
yeah.
So I was seeing this video yesterday, and in the video, the guru was saying, if you see divinity in everything, that is like true renunciation. So, like taking that forward, if you felt like the bangles, it's an image, it's a learned experience that is a noise, and that's disturbing my meditation. But if you look at it in terms of a divine sound, any kind of other impression, it suddenly the disturbance disappears for you. So this guru was kind of telling that he was talking about something else. He was talking about renunciation. True renunciation actually means seeing divinity in everything, whether physical, non-physical matter in this world. And when he was talking about that, it means we dropping our images of what is not just good, bad, but a whole lot of things that we consider as barriers, hindrances, and if I translate that into our meditation topic today, I feel like when we sit, when we talk, when we engage, when we are meditating, um, a lot of our negative responses are these learned patterns, right, of ours. For you, if you're meditating, somebody's chit-chatting, somebody's making a bangle sound, something else, you have believed that this is interfering with your meditation process. The day you drop it, the day you think, okay, this is part of the whole divine process, you'll see like a different response to the meditation and to the sounds. And it was a beautiful video, but I think there are so many interpretations of different things, right? And for me, this is just one of those from the video. And I felt like, for example, I think my daughter, she's sensitive to certain sounds. And over a period of time, I've noticed even I've become a little sound sensitive as I'm aging. Um, and the smallest of sounds, it may not bother somebody else and it may bother you. And but the moment you keep on focusing on that sound being irritant, it becomes even more bigger in your mind as irritating, annoying. And if you decide to interpret it differently, I think it no longer has that value of annoyance. It would be a very interesting experiment, Ritu, for you, me, and everybody to actually try that out and see what it means to be in an active, dynamic environment and yet keep your, that meditative pose and experience.
Yeah, I agree, because for the initial 4 5 days, it irritated me a lot. I would rather think, why isn't this woman understanding that this sound when everyone's so quiet can be irritating for others? So that thought was also okay, maybe it's not bothering. Still, she should be conscious. But then eventually, I started thinking every time that sound would come, I would take it as a um what do you call it? A gong, wherein you are told to reassess whether you are actually present, you are awake, you are concentrating on whatever you're supposed to concentrate on. So then that sound, the interpretation of that sound changed a little. It would be like a reminder for me to make sure that I'm in the present. So that way it helped instead of bothering me.
Yes, and that's beautiful, right? So when you shared first, you didn't share us with us the full story. You just shared the bothering part. But this is what it's about, right? About transforming. So you made us, you made something which was actually inhibiting your progress into something which was actually helping you progress. So there's even a very beautiful story of, forget who, maybe it was Sister Teresa or Abela, I don't know, in which, when they join a convent, when they pledge to become a nun, then they are in that group for maybe their whole life, 30, 40, 50 years of their life till they die, they are with those set of people. So in that, she said that, when she was sitting, a nun behind her, a elderly nun behind her, will make a sound, used to make a sound from her throat, which was very distractive. But she couldn't help it. Like, there was something she was not able to control. And, initially the sister, she thought that, oh my God, how will I bear this sound for like 30 years, 40 years? It's impossible. What have I gotten myself into? And then I guess she has spoken to somebody and they said that, make this into love, like kind of invoke love in you towards that sound and that person, or it just came to her. So that's what she started doing. For the next few weeks, her sole focus had become in sending love to that person And she was always smiling at that nun, and that nun would look at her strangely that why suddenly she is turning a new leaf. And she felt so much love for that person, so that the same sound, which was a irritant, which was a major distraction, became a sound of love. Like, say, the bangles could become Krishna's, those things you wear in the feet that Krishna used to wear, that chan, chan, chan. So that is the power of love. And we have all felt it, when we love, when our children, especially when they're small, so much love comes out. It feels that, there are extension of our beings, and no matter what they do, we'll just love, love, love. And as they grow up and they have their own, like likes and dislikes and agreements and disagreements, we see something in us dries up. Like that's the norm. For some, maybe it won't. And we see the difference in our attitude. So love is the power that is making the world go wrong, go round, sorry, not wrong, although I would not be wrong if I'm saying that. So yeah. Yeah, and Ekta had shared something in the chat. Sorry, Ekta, would you like to read that aloud? You have the capacity to unmute?
Yeah, sure, but I'm in a little noisy place.
That's okay.
No, so I was just saying that what she was saying was the story of the monk who's meditating in the lake, and so I don't know, you probably know the story, but he wants to meditate, so he goes out in the middle of the lake in a boat. He's sitting, he's meditating, and then something crashes into his boat, and he thinks, who's trying to wake me up out of my meditation? Don't they see I'm meditating? And then he tries to control himself, and he keeps meditating, but then again there's a bit of a crash, and then he gets really furious, and then he opens his eyes and he realizes it's an empty boat, which has just sort of floated out and it's crashing into him. And that's when he has that enlightenment that the anger is not outside, the anger is within me. And that's what was being expressed. So that's what I was remembering when she was talking about the bangles.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that reminder. Yes, Deepa, would you like to go next, and then Vishal can go?
I'll let Vishal go first. Yeah.
Okay, Vishal, please.
Yeah, no, I think the point that Deepa made was very beautiful, to include everything. And actually, somewhere, I don't know where I read recently, I thought maybe it was one of our discussions, but maybe somewhere else, that, somebody had commented exactly like this only. And, this noise, especially in India, there's so many noises, right? Uh, I remember, just as a humorous thing, so I grew up in Bombay, and so I used to live in, all Bombay is everything high rise. So I would sleep, and we had this hotel next to us, and so there would constantly be noise there, and they would be calling taxis and all these things. So the whole night I would be like, that thing would be in my background and have very beautiful sleep, no problem, right? I mean, it's like, and there are people who sleep next to trains, right? So the point is, if it bothers you, that is the problem, right? And I think there was a monk or something said, okay, if that is bothering you, you make that the object of your meditation, right? It's just change it, change the focus. Okay, there's a noise here, you cannot avoid it. Make that the focus, and which is what Ritu, you did actually, right? Because you said you were waiting for it. So you made that the object. But I think that that was a very beautiful point, that you include everything in it. And what I think, these moments come to teach us, right? That, all of these things, one should look at it as an opportunity. And Mother says this so many times, that, to progress, right? So if you see you're in this circumstance, there is a reason why you're in it. That is the thing that we have to realize, that we who are aspiring, basically, then we have that closeness to the mother. She is going to constantly put us in these circumstances where whatever, progress, she want to make you progress more. So you will be put in situations which you probably don't like, right? Which we all don't like. I mean, we get it every day. And I think Taru was saying earlier, right? Like we say, oh, I was okay. And then what happened? Suddenly you find, well, maybe it was not as good as you kind of thought it to be. So, so that vigilance is required also. But yeah, one can use it as a means to progress, which was very beautiful. You did that, right? You made that and you turned it around. So that's wonderful.
Yes, thank you. The monk was Ajanta. So he had recommended that to make the
Good morning. In fact, what Mr. Vishal was saying, exactly the same thing which Swami Vivekananda was facing in his young age. Then he went to his guru, Ramakrishna. He said that when I'm meditating, there is some factory noise is coming and disturbing me. So what should I do? How to concentrate? So Ramakrishna Paramahansa said that you concentrate on that noise which is disturbing you. You'll be all right. So he practiced that. And so what Mr. Vishal was saying, exactly the same thing. And he succeeded in that.
Yes, thank you for the reminder, Captain. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, Deepa, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I think it's almost said by everybody beautifully already. Going forward with what I listened in that video. So the sage is saying that, in India, most temples would have these sandalwood logs, and they would immerse it in water, and because they distribute it amongst the followers, right? The paste, the sandalwood paste, because it's very aromatic. So when they used to get these sandalwood logs, they would immerse it in water, and then there would be this film that covers the logs, and it used to have a very bad smell, a really foul smell. And he says that later on, when it has to be used, they would take out these logs and then they would keep rubbing. That we know, right? We have to rub the sandalwood for the smell and the paste to be used and be fragrant. So he says, he uses this example to say that a lot of times we think that we have to give up this world in order to achieve something big, divine, to get closer to God. He says, stay here. Stay here only because this is your time to be here, and see the divine in everything. So the question comes up, how do you see divine in somebody you dislike, somebody you do not like, somebody you see as a barrier towards your progress? And if we take this example of the sandalwood, which smells so bad when immersed in water, and you take out and you rub it, and then it becomes so fragrant and so accessible for everybody. You see this film amongst those people, and you believe that there is that divinity, there is that goodness in everybody. And if you take this further as an extension, that since good and bad exists in all of us, and if you see that little bit of bad in you also, and you think that what you're seeing outside is a projection, is an example of that something bad within you that you see in somebody else, and that's something for us to work. So we don't have to work on that person, we have to work on ourselves. Just like that sandalwood that requires that level of grinding to get that good out, we all require that. And this meditation, this progress, this sadhana that we have to do it in this world itself, in our present circumstances itself. A lot of times I also go into that loop that, I have to wait for another 5 years, 10 years, then get into some good work. No, that doesn't happen. It happens right now, right here, in whichever small form that you can do. Practice it now. Practice it by converting all these negative feelings that we have towards people and make it into something where you see the divine in everybody. Like in India, I think we used to have this practice of giving God's names to everybody. This is a reminder to see that divinity in that child called Krishna or Ram, or or boss who could be really bad, but is named Ganesha. So see the divinity. If you can't, then remember there's a film that's covering, which is foul smelling now, but the potential exists.
Yes, thank you. In Synthesis of Yoga, in the chapter Oneness and Cosmic Consciousness, Sri Aurobindo has in detail spoken about this, and of course ahead too, but yeah. Any other comments before we move forward? Okay, so just rereading this. What is needed is to succeed in meditating under all circumstances, and I call meditating not emptying your head, but concentrating yourself in a contemplation of the divine. And if you keep this contemplation within you, all that you do will change its quality, not its appearance, for apparently it will be the same thing, but its quality. And life will change its quality, and you will feel a little different from what you were, with a peace, a certitude, an inner calm, an unchanging force. I'll reread this: a peace, a certitude, an inner calm, an unchanging force, something which never gives way. So, this was the passage from the Mother. Meditate under all circumstances. Since we do have 7-8 more minutes, I will, I had taken up, the poem, The Dream Boat, had come to me, so I just pulled it up while reflecting on the passage. It's a very beautiful one, and we need that reminder again and again. So if anybody would like to read, have the pleasure of reading it aloud for all of us, please unmute and read it slowly for us. Otherwise, I'll go ahead.
I'll read.
Yeah, so the title is this, and yeah.
The Dream Boat. The Dream Boat. Who was it that came to me in a boat made of dream fire? With his flame brow and his sun gold body, melted was the silence into a sweet secret murmur. Do you come now? Is the heart's fire ready? Hidden in the recesses of the heart, something shuddered. It recalled all that the life's joy cherished, imaged the felicity it must leave lost forever, and the boat passed, and the gold god vanished. Now, within the hollowness of the world's breast inhabits, for the love died and the old joy ended, void of a felicity that has fled, gone forever, and the gold god and the dream boat come not.
Thank you, Captain. So, this is a poem by Sri Aurobindo titled The Dream Boat. and just telling us, that how there are times when we feel the calling. There are times when we can see what is the right step, what is the right direction, where I must head now. And there is as if, God who stands outside the door knocking, asking us, would you come now? Is the heart's fire ready? And then instead of just jumping on his boat, which we would imagine one would do, something in our heart shudders. And we start thinking that, oh my God, if I leave on this boat, I'll have to give up this thing and that person and that comfort and that joy. So one starts wondering what all one will have to give if we make that choice, if we get on that boat. And while we are contemplating on our losses, the boat passes and the gold cord vanishes, leaving a hollowness in our hearts, in our being, because of course, he was the one who was giving rasa to that love, giving us that joy. And if he decides to go away, and of course, so that we learn the lesson that everything is temporary, the love died, the love for which I did not get on the boat. My, materialistic love for things, for people, it changes, right? It's transitory. And the things that used to give me joy, they either stopped giving me joy or they left my life. So now I'm void of that happiness, that bliss, that felicity, which has fled now. And I'm left with nothing. The joy is gone, the peace is gone, the gold god is gone, and the dream boat is gone. So of course it will come back, it does come back, but mostly after some intense suffering, because that means the first time I wasn't ready and the God has to make sure that next time I am ready, or of course there will be 100 more next time, still I am ready. So if I can hear the call, I must make my heart's fire ready. So that's my basic understanding of this. And of course, there would be so many other beautiful, beautiful reflections. If there are any comments, anything, they are welcome. Otherwise, we are done for the session. Okay, so ending on this beautiful note of the dream boat, aspiring that may our fires be ready. May I hear the call. May I know the call, that it is a call. And may I be ready to jump on that boat without hesitation, not getting pulled by the distortions and distractions and the threads and the chains and the illusion of choicelessness that I usually bind myself with. So aspiring for this freedom and this wisdom for myself and for every being. We started the session with the beautiful chant, LOKAH SAMASTAHA SUKHINO BHAVANTU. And this is where the true joy is, right? There's no other true joy than becoming one with the divine. So ending the session with the same prayer and aspiration, that LOKAH SAMASTAHA SUKHINO BHAVANTU. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.